I gotta watch that movie. God, I love that movie. I haven't seen that movie in so long.
Spaceballs. So good. When I saw Spaceballs originally in the theater, I saw it without my glasses on. What a huge mistake that was. Because I can't see 5 feet in front of me without my glasses. Couldn't see shit.
I bought the soundtrack cassette before I ever saw the movie.
Oh, really?
I used to do that. I don't know why, but I mean, having a Walkman, because I was definitely that kid that was like, if I was on a long car ride with my family, or like we were on vacation, I vividly remember being on vacation, I think in Florida with my family, and sitting out on the deck or of the hotel room, listening to my Walkman in the evenings, and just sort of ignoring them. And I loved movie soundtracks. But I would always buy them based on like the artists that were on the soundtrack. I would always buy them for movies I'd never seen. So like, wow. I forget. Oh, it was, Bob Seger came on my playlist the other day, cause I'm old, and it was, Shakedown, I think is the name of the song, which was in Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Yeah.
Which the whole reason I love that song is because I had the Beverly Hills Cop 2 soundtrack when I was a kid. I've never seen Beverly Hills Cop 2. I've never seen it. Like,
me neither.
And Spaceballs, I mean, I've seen Spaceballs, obviously, but I knew the soundtrack by heart before I ever saw the movie.
Well, but of course, like before cassette singles got to be really popular, you had to buy the album. And if that Bob Seger song was only available on the Beverly Hills
Cop 2
I
didn't buy it for the Bob Seger song, but I'm just saying that I liked the artists that were on the soundtrack.
The soundtrack.
So, and it's like, other than that, you were looking, because I think my big thing was I always wanted to get compilations, because there were some artists that I liked, but I didn't necessarily like them enough that I wanted a whole album. You know what I mean? Like if it was Michael Jackson, I wanted the whole album, right? Or Culture Club or Genesis or anything like that. But, Bob Seger, I liked. I didn't really want a Bob Seger album.
Right. I get it. Yeah.
So, but that, and I think like Footloose, I had the soundtrack for that I'd never seen. I don't think I've ever I don't think I've ever seen the whole movie.
Oh no, I saw that in the theater.
Top Gun. I had the Top Gun soundtrack.
I never had that
because I liked Kenny Loggins and Bonnie Tyler. So
I think if I bought the soundtrack, I definitely had seen the movie.
Yeah, no, I was the complete opposite. I would buy the soundtracks, having never seen the movie. Anyway, that's our after show for this week.
You're weird.
That's what I did. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that until again the other day when that Bob Seger song came on. I'm like, I've never, because the little thumbnail,
I know exactly what song you're talking about.
Yeah, because the little thumbnail for it on Spotify is Beverly Hills Cop 2. It's the movie poster. So I'm driving my car and I happen to look down, and on the screen is Eddie Murphy. I'm like, oh yeah, this was in Beverly Hills Cop 2. I've never seen that movie, but I've known this song for ages.
There you go.
Anyway.
All right. Well, hey everybody, it's the After Show. Welcome to it. And we're going to do a little something different in this here After Show. And if you like it, let us know. If you don't like it, don't bother to let us know.
Don't tell us, because we're going to keep doing it.
Just delete this episode and never discuss it again.
Actually, you should use that as a call to action. If you don't like it, send us some Jeopardy quizzes or other quizzes.
Oh, yeah.
To do
there you go.
For the After Show.
I mean, we'll be doing Jeopardy quizzes probably anyway, or EGM review quizzes, definitely. But I think we wanted to mix it up a little bit. I wanted to mix it up a little bit. Maybe do this once a month.
Is the royal
and take a look back at a year that, any old year, and just talk about what we were doing in that year. What are some of our favorite games were from that year? Maybe we'll talk about the headlines and what was the top of the box office that year, and maybe what we were watching on TV around that time. Like, just have a nostalgia trip, basically. And so this year, I thought we would start with 1996. And I don't know why I plucked that from the air, but I did. And so we're going to start with that year.
I assume you plucked that because of Tomb Raider.
No, not really.
Come on.
I guess we can say that I did.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do that.
Yeah. Because of Tomb Raider and the Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 remaster that just came out. If you're listening to this 2 years from now and not know what that means. Yeah. So 1996 for me, that would have been, I was 19 in 1996 and
I was 20.
I went, I was finishing up my first year of college. I went to school in Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa.
That sounds made up.
No. Des Moines or Drake?
Drake.
No, it's a real place.
Love the Drake.
A real college. Love the Drake. Can't stand the Drake.
Can't stand the Drake.
That's different. Different thing. Seinfeld. Which I watched a hell of a lot of in 1996, let me tell you. But yeah, so I went to school for journalism. I was majoring in journalism at the time, thought that I would either work for a newspaper or I still wanted to work for a video game magazine. Keep in mind, at this point, I had already worked at EGM for a short bit of time and then also wrote a PlayStation guidebook for them. But I wanted to go to college, and I think it's probably my parents pushing me into that. And I mean, I thought I needed the diploma and the experience of college anyway. But at the midpoint of 1996, my dad had lost his job, and my family was no longer able to pay for me to go to school. So kind of came to the realization of that in like June 1996 and realized I wouldn't be back in the fall for college, which really sucked. And then I went on a sort of trying to get back into video game journalism. Like maybe I could go back to EGM, like maybe that could be a thing. And so a couple friends and I decided to go to E3 in 96, and it was in LA. This was the second year of E3. And so went to E3 that year, stayed at a hotel near the airport because that's all any of us could afford. There were like 3 or 4 of us in a hotel room, and took the shuttle bus to the LA Convention Center.
Little did you know that 2 years later you'd be staying in the penthouse suite of the CNN building for E3.
I wasn't in the penthouse suite.
Oh, that was Andy Barron, wasn't it?
Scott Augustin and Andy Barron and somebody else, I think, maybe Scott Paris. But yeah, I didn't work for EGM or anything, so I paid my own way to go to E3, as did my other friends. And I thought, okay, at this E3, here's what my plan was. I was going to talk with Steve Harris. I had already set up a meeting with Steve, and I was going to try to work my way back into EGM. And on the first day of E3, Sendai announced that they'd been bought by Ziff Davis and that Steve Harris was out. And I was like, oh shit. I am not going to be able to go back to EGM because my contact there was Steve. Like Steve was like the person who hired me originally in 94, and he's not going to be at the new Ziff Davis. Like, how the hell am I going to get back into EGM? So I thought my career in video game journalism was done at that point. I thought, this is it. This is the end. And so I went and worked at a temp agency, and I took notes and transcribed stuff at a law office for like a month and ran errands for this
what
law
could have
office.
been.
Yeah. And it was fun. I had fun. And hoped that maybe EGM would call me and let me know if I could have a job, if you got anything open. And I talked with Joe Funk, as well, because he was now like the editorial director at EGM, or at the new Ziff Davis. And it turns out they were going to do a Nintendo 64 book. So I had done the PlayStation book the previous year, and that had funded a computer for me. Like, I bought my first Mac in 95 based with the advance that I got on the PlayStation book. And they were doing an N64 book. So they said, hey, would you like to write our N64 book? And that's kind of how I got back into it. I said yes, first of all, and then quit the temp agency and the law office. And
on just doing one book?
Yep.
Jesus.
And
okay.
And yeah, helped write the EGM guide to Nintendo 64 video games, which is like the long title that it had to be, because Nintendo was very litigious. And if you said that it was an official guidebook or anything, you could get sued.
Right.
And if you had any sort of official or Mario renders that looked official, they were going to come after you. And so it had like a very unofficial Mario render on the cover, I think. Yeah, I worked on that. John Riccardi did a good half of that book too. He did the strategy guide for Mario 64, which is like most of that book, but I got credited on the cover since I wrote almost everything else, and which was like a guide to the system and previews of all the games that were going to come out, and also a strategy guide to Pilotwings 64. Which I played the hell out of Pilotwings 64. Got golds on everything in that game for that strategy guide. And also like went into the office and helped them take screenshots of all the stuff too. And I had a super good time. And once that was over, I was like, please, can I have a job at EGM? Because I don't have anything else. And I was also freelancing for Intelligent Gamer. You remember Intelligent Gamer?
I do remember Intelligent Gamer. They did. Yeah. They ended up working on Fusion. It was Fusion originally.
Yeah, no. Intelligent Gamer was the name of the magazine for a good while.
Right.
Intelligent Gamer was a website first.
Right.
That did very well. It was one of the first like video game websites. Certainly the first independent video game websites that had any sort of clout. And then they started doing Intelligent Gamer, the magazine, and I did a lot of freelance writing for that.
That's where Riccardi came from, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah, him and J.R. Horowitz was the editor-in-chief. Yeah, okay. But yeah, John really like kicked off with Intelligent Gamer, and so I was doing some stuff for Intelligent Gamer, and then wanted to get back into EGM, and luckily it was around the holiday time when the issues were huge, and I was able to get hired on part-time. I had to go into Ed Semrad's office and talk with him because Ed didn't like me. I don't think that was a secret that Ed did not like me.
But why? You're so likable.
I don't know why. But I wanted to come back, and part of that was like he had to be okay with that. So I had to go in and talk with him. And apparently, and Phil can probably talk about this more, because Phil came on at the same time that I was hired back part-time. We were both part-time hired help, basically, for the holiday issues.
And then you had to fight to the death so you got to keep the job?
That was, in 97. Then after the holiday issues, we had to fight to the death to see who got to keep the job. They pitted us against each other for the online editor role, which would be like a liaison between GameSpot and EGM. So we fought for that, and I won.
Well, you're a lot bigger.
Yeah, it was a fight to the death. It was an arena style. Yeah. And I just had to hold Phil's head. He couldn't even touch me because I have such long arms and I'm tall. But and this is where the Bubsy 3D preview came in, and having to write 4 pages on Mortal Kombat Trilogy for the N64, and like uh, all that stuff was in 96. And that's where I met Phil for the first time at EGM. Even though we worked at Babbage's, two different stores, very close to each other, we never actually knew each other at that point until we worked at EGM together. Yeah. But at that point, like, I had left school, to work at EGM, and let's see how far this goes. Like, maybe with the intention of always kind of going back to school, which never happened, by the way. I just have not gone back to school to finish that up or anything. A pretty formative year, really. Like 96, like, had I not gotten the N64 book and then Intelligent Gamer and got hired back at EGM for the holidays, like, I definitely wouldn't be where I am now. So pretty formative year, pretty crazy year for me.
It was formative for me too, but not quite in the same way. But because I had a similar story, although, well, okay. I also had to stop going to university because I couldn't pay for it. But that was after I'd flunked out. So I didn't flunk out. I got put on academic probation.
No, wait a second. Like, what were you doing instead of studying? Were you playing video games? So this is like a
no, for me it was, and I'm sorry if there's noise back here. My son will not leave me alone tonight. Okay.
We can't hear it.
Anyway, no, so I went to university. I was one of those people, you kind of said it. Hang on. Sorry, give me 1 second.
I can't hear anything. I see Greg's lips are moving very fast. He's like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you making so much noise? Go watch your TikToks in your room. He's giving the 1 second sign, the universal sign for 1 more second, the index finger pointed up. Oh, the other thing I want to share here is that I got to play Resident Evil, the first one, accidentally, because Intelligent Gamer sent it to me when they were supposed to send me NBA Live.
Oh, it was them and not Game Fan who spread around Resident Evil. Is that what you're saying? It was
Intelligent Gamer sent me accidentally Resident Evil, and I played a bunch of it before I sent it back to them.
Wow.
I was supposed to have NBA Live. Yeah.
I think you got the better deal.
I did.
Okay. So yeah. So no, I was one of those, kind of like what you'd said before. I went to university because I was supposed to go to university. I didn't really know what I wanted to do.
You just need to go because that's what people did.
Because that's what you did. We were really, really sold that. Our generation was really sold on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went and was not interested in anything I was doing. And so I didn't try. And I didn't go to class, and I was put on academic probation, and then I tried to go back a couple years later, and I got back in and went back for I was focusing on English Lit and stuff like that, and couldn't get a student loan. That was the big thing. Didn't have any money, couldn't get a student loan. So anyway, but yeah,
I identify with that a lot. Like,
yeah. So 96, I was trying to, when I was thinking about this, I was trying to remember, and I believe 96 was the year that I actually lived in Prince Edward Island, which is another small province nearby, because I was running, I was managing a video game sales and rental place up there. I had worked for the owner here no, I hadn't. My best friend worked for the owner here in Halifax. And he was expanding, and he was opening a store in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, and hired me as the manager. So that's what I was up there doing. But it was a formative year for me from an industry and career standpoint as well, because during that time was when I started getting online and I met CJ on IRC,
Yeah.
and met the vid games people on IRC, which was a very popular channel at the time and kind of weirdly connected to the industry. Like, if you went back and looked at all the people that were in that room, there were a lot of Ziff Davis people in there, including CJ, and like John Riccardi and Craig Kuyava, and and there were a lot of intelligent gamer people in there, especially. And anyway, that was the year that I believe it was the year we started Gaming Age. My resume says June 96, so I'm guessing it was June 96.
There you go.
And it was all based on, for me, the way that I was able to contribute reviews and things like that was because I was managing this store. And, if you worked at a rental place, if things weren't rented at the end of the night and you were working first shift the next morning, you could just take them home and play them. And that's what I did a lot of the time. So that's how I reviewed almost all of my first reviews on Gaming Age. And I had worked at another site previous to that called Gaming Enthusiast Online, which was run by Sam Kennedy, who also, after going to GameFan, went on to Ziff Davis, and he was sort of the head of 1UP when 1UP started. And then I think he went to work for Activision after that. But anyway, so he was one of the people that we co-founded Gaming Age with. So it was kind of my start in the industry too, but it was on a fan site, not as a paying gig, but it's what led to paying gigs. So yeah, that was a big year for me from that perspective as well. And it's funny because it actually has an Intelligent Gamer connection too, because Pete Bartholow was an associate editor at Intelligent Gamer. I don't know if he contributed to the website or not, because I'll be honest, I never went to the website.
I think he did.
But anyway, he was instrumental in us getting Gaming Age up and running.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, in a big way. He gave us so much help when we were starting out. So, and I remember he used to tell stories about working at Intelligent Gamer magazine as well. But for me, that was pretty much the year, was that I was spending all my time managing this store, really living away from home for the first time ever. I mean, I'd lived on my own before, but it was still in Halifax.
So you moved to be the manager of this video game store? Did you know anybody in Prince Edward Island? Like, why would you move there?
My rent over there was $300 a month. No, because I didn't really have any prospects. Yeah. And see, this is the thing. And actually, it's interesting to me because you grew up in the Chicagoland area.
Yeah.
And I don't know that a lot of people realize that it wasn't necessarily the central hub for video games at that point in the 90s.
No.
But there was still a lot of the video game industry in Chicago.
Yes.
In the 90s, not least of which Ziff Davis being there. So I wanted the same thing you wanted, right? Like I at that point had decided that I wanted to be, I wanted a job at a video game magazine. That was sort of my dream job. That was my goal. Flunked out of university. Couldn't return because I didn't have the money, and my family didn't have the money for that.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I'd been kind of hopping from part-time job to part-time job, moved out of home, moved back into home. And there was another rental place called Game World here that they had expanded to a nearby town. And I got a part-time job there, but that place kind of imploded very soon after for various reasons. And then had part-time jobs at other game rental places around here. Like there was a Microplay around here that I worked at for a while. Actually, that was the last job I had before taking this one. But then the owner of he actually assumed the Game World name when he was expanding. He approached me because my best friend worked for him at his Halifax store and said, like, I'm opening this store and I want somebody that I know who will run it for me. Would you be willing to move to PEI? I had no prospects. So I was like, yeah, what the
And
hell?
you
I'll
just
do it.
got up and moved
I just got up
to,
and left.
okay.
So,
Huh.
but again, I had a lot of time on my hands. I mean, I knew people because there were other people who worked at the store, and they sort of welcomed me into their friend group and stuff like that. But I had
Yeah.
a lot of time on my hands. I was playing video games all the time. I wanted to get a job in the industry, but I mean,
Mm.
that wasn't something you could do in Atlantic, Canada. So, I mean,
Right.
from that perspective, I guess for me, it was that I was willing to move because, I mean, it's not like that dream was going to be realized in Nova Scotia anyway. There were no games, the internet was still sort of a fledgling thing. There were no
Yeah.
game developers here in Nova like there are now, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't a big tech industry here in general. So not that PEI brought me any closer, but it was a full-time job. I needed work, and it afforded me the ability to chase that dream in some
Yeah.
form, with sort of the burgeoning fan site community. And I just happened to latch onto the right group, and people who were just as ambitious as I was for that. And we started Gaming Age that year,
Yeah.
which became kind of the darling of the vid games crowd.
Yeah. Now, how did that? I thought that had kind of started out of vid games, but was that not the case? Like, how did you
So,
even get connected with those people?
when I first got on Usenet, which if you go back and check out Usenet archives and look up my name, there's a lot of posts there to argue about video games.
Yeah.
I remember there was another guy on there named Jim Cordera, who I don't remember if we knew each other at that point. I don't think we knew who each other were because we were in the same, like, alt, Sega, Genesis, whatever those news groups were called.
Yeah.
And
Rec Games Video Sega.
Rec Games Video Sega. There you go. And somebody whose name I cannot remember, I think his first name was Dave, was starting a website called Daily Gamer. Because that was a thing. Starting up fan sites back then was a thing, right? Like, it was, I know, CJ, you came from the you were actually releasing like physical
fanzines.
But for me, it was like, this is a way to do something like that and and build a portfolio, get your name out there.
Sure.
So we we joined him, and he had a website called The Daily Gamer. And then Sam Kennedy, meanwhile, and a lot of the people who ended up doing Gaming Age, he had a site called Gaming Enthusiast Online. And somehow he got connected to us. He wanted to get groups in that were like console specific. So, and I think at that point we'd switched to like Daily Saturn Gamer or something like that because we were all Sega nerds. And so we got folded into Gaming Enthusiast Online. But that site had a publisher that wasn't Sam, and I forget the guy's name, but he wasn't great, right? He was GEO the name belonged to him. He sucked, basically. Like, nobody liked working for him. We weren't paid. Right. Being under his sort of rule. So a bunch of us decided to break off and form Gaming Age. Now, how that got linked up with vid games, I don't know. I think a lot of us were just in vid games. Sam was and is a super likable guy. He was very good at networking. And I think it was a relationship that he had with Pete Bartholow that really helped us along there. And Vid Games was very involved in getting Gaming Age up and running. And it was like me, Sam, Jim, Brady Fichter, who worked with Dave Halverson for years. He was part of that group. Dave Toole, who the last I heard was the video guy at GameSpot. I don't know if he still is. But yeah, we started that site with a couple other people as well. And big help from Pete Bartholow. But I don't know how it became kind of like the de facto website for vid games, but it did. And
it did.
It to the point that, like, when other people were kind of coming through and getting hired or recruited for Ziff Davis, and Che Chow and Mark McDonald are two for sure that I can think of right off the top of my head. when they needed to build portfolios, they would come right for us.
Yeah.
And so they'd have something to show when they went in for their interview with Joe Funk, basically.
It's amazing.
And also a lot of people who were in Vid Games were guest editors to get their E3 passes in subsequent years.
Yes, that did happen too. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, it was a big year for me in that regard too, just because it was sort of how, it was how I was getting my name out there. I'm making contacts. I mean, being in Vid Games and becoming friends with John led directly to getting my job at Expert Gamer in 1999. So in 3 years time. It's kind of amazing to me how formative that Vid Games crew, and how influential that Vid Games crew is in some aspects of the industry now. Like so many of those people are still around and are decision makers around the industry, and it's crazy. It's crazy to think that we all kind of started in this one place, this hanging one this pocket of the internet. Panel. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, IRC. Yeah, I remember the first time I went into IRC because at the time there were books about the internet, and that was a very popular thing. Like you'd get a book that would tell you all the cool places on the internet. That's crazy. Like they would say, here are the Usenet news groups for video games, and here's how you access them, right? And at the time, my internet account was just a Unix shell account. It was like nice. I had a Unix email client and a Unix Usenet client that I was using. And you could Jurassic Park from that? What? You can control Jurassic Park from that? I don't think so. No, my knowledge of Unix is only like how to run email and how to get into Usenet, and that's it. And at first I was running that all on my Apple IIgs before I got my computer. And then nice. when I got a Mac, then there was an IRC client for the Mac. You know where my first Usenet account was? How I physically got onto Usenet? What? I went to I still had my credentials to go to the university computer lab. And I used to take... When you weren't a student, you could still... Yeah. And I used to take CJ, Mike's best friend, Jim, your best friend, Mike's best friend, Jim. Yeah. He's like 10 years older than me. So he definitely wasn't a student. And he and one other guy that we knew, we would go into the computer lab in the evenings because you could and just sit there and go to like Dave's Sega Saturn page and like Dave Zadirko. All those old fan sites and get on Usenet and argue about video games using the university computer lab because I didn't have a computer. Usenet, was a big thing. I don't even want to look up my archive post on Usenet. It's pretty great. Bad. But yeah, I think when I first logged into IRC is when I first donned the nickname Super Pack. Super Pack. Yeah, that was my IRC name back in the mid 90s, and I've always had that name since. And that group, just amazing people in that group. And we're all just huge fans of video games, just trying to get in the industry one way or another. And some people more successfully than others. And it was a huge amount of fun at that time. And it felt like, I don't know, you could go back to that time and could kind of see that some people were going to make it and others maybe not. But I mean, even that, you could never, this is turning more into a Vid Games thing than a 1996 thing, but even that you couldn't, I don't think you could have predicted where people would end up. Because I mean, I would love to go back and find a screen grab. I think Shane Bettenhausen also was on Vid He was eventually. I think it was a little bit later. James Milkey was in there. Mark McDonald, Che Chow, John Riccardi, Craig Kuyava, Ravi Hiranand. Yeah, was in there. Cameron Davis down in Australia. I mean, and that's just what's coming from the top of Bartholo, just coming to mind. I mean, there's so many more. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, I also want to talk about video games. Patrick Klepek, sorry, that was in this time. Patrick Klepek later, but Extremer.
and Xe and all of that. All right, so let's talk about video games, because a lot
Okay.
of like big video
They
games
released
came out
video games in 1996. They had
in
video games.
1996. So I thought what would be fun is let's talk about like our 5 favorite games from 1996.
Yeah, you hit me with that really late, and let me tell you,
I did.
1996.
It's a pretty
Before
good
we get
year.
into our 5 games, I would call it a landmark year.
It's a pretty damn good year.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, I think you can point at specific year, and I remember reading an article last year about last year being one of those years as well. You could point at certain years over the history of video games, just like that was like a major, a pivotal, a very important year in games. And I would say that 1996 definitely qualifies. Like 98 does as well, right? But 96, wow. When you look at the games that were released that year, that's crazy. And
a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead through my 5. I just picked 5 favorite games.
Okay.
So that's what we're going to talk about.
All right.
Maybe.
Well, just to give us one.
I'll give you one. Dragon Force.
That is number 5 on my list.
And Dragon Force, let me tell you, like, this was a game that I probably wouldn't have played if I wasn't working at EGM, because Dragon Force from Working Designs is a Saturn RPG, and it took over the Ziff Davis office. Like,
it is so good.
Especially Dan Chu was super into Dragon Force. It got really high ratings, really high reviews in EGM. It's a great game. It's a Sega RPG. And I played the hell out of Dragon Force on the Saturn. I love this game. Yeah. It's so well done. Tons of enemies on the screen. Really cool battle sequences.
Yeah, so it was an RPG, but it was a sort of a light strategy RPG, because the way it worked is you actually would move your different army. You create armies with up to 5 different generals that you would recruit. And I think there were 5 or 6 different factions on the map. And so you'd move your armies in real time from city to city to sort of take over those cities. But you would, if they were occupied, you'd have to fight your way in with these armies, or you could also run into other armies on the road, basically. And you get into battles as you recruited and built up your troops. Like, you get into battles with 200 troops on the screen, just going crazy. But it was like a rock, paper, scissors kind of thing, whereas like, archers are good against flying enemies, and wizards are good against whatever. I don't know, but like it was a rock, paper, scissors type thing. But then you'd also have a general that had like a special attack you could use periodically. And you'd either try to get them to, you'd either kill them and kill the troops and try to recruit the enemies, or take them prisoner, or they would retreat. And for me, I was really heavy into my Working Designs phase at this point. I loved anything Working Designs brought out. I bought Iron Storm, which was basically, I think it was a Dyson Yaku game. It was a military strategy game. Why, I don't know. Who the hell? I don't play those games, but it was Working Designs, so I bought it.
Yeah.
And so Dragon Force was, I'd say it was really high up there in their early releases for the Saturn, because it was just so great. It's such a shame the second one never came here, although it has been translated, fan translation. But it was I threw together a list. This order would probably change if you asked me to do this again tomorrow, but it was my number 5.
Yeah, I'm not saying in order. These are just 5 games. Yeah, I didn't want necessarily one order. And the second one I'll talk about is Tetris Attack.
See, I don't have that on my list at all.
Tetris Attack, such a good game. And this one too is one of those that I have such a great memory of it because
Panel
of working. Yes. Panel de Pon is the Japanese title, and you can find it there under that title on Nintendo Switch Online, under the Super Nintendo library. And for the US release, they, for some reason, licensed the Tetris name, even though this has nothing to do with Tetris. And it is a color matching game, but it is just absolutely amazing with combo attacks and garbage blocks. And I don't think I would have as much love for this game had it not been one of those games at EGM that we would play on deadline and just
Yeah.
play all the time. Like the EGM crew loved this game, and you would see absolutely insane matches of this between editors to the point where the cartridge itself was slowing down. You would almost crash the game. It was just not able to take what you were throwing at it. It was fantastic. I had nothing to do with Tetris, but it was a great game.
Honestly, obviously I didn't experience that.
No, you were not there for that.
But I did see a glimpse of it when Pokemon Puzzle League came out years later, because there were still some of you who'd been around during the Tetris Attack craze at the office and got really into that again too. Because Pokemon Puzzle League is, again, it's just Panel de Pon again, right?
Yes,
just Pokemon themed.
It's just Panel de Pon, yeah. And I hope Nintendo brings that puzzle game back, because it is fantastic and is maybe my favorite puzzle game next to Tetris.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not Columns?
No, not
nobody,
Columns.
I shouldn't say nobody liked Columns. Joey likes Columns. Cool.
Let's talk about Pilot Wing 64.
Another game I didn't play.
Oh, I love Pilot Wing 64, and not just because I had to do that strategy guide on it. It's not PTSD. I really and truly thought this game was fantastic. Just the flying sequences are great and immersive, and everything you love about 3D graphics, like the jetpack section. I got so good at finessing the jetpack. Like I could really burn through some of those levels, and it's just a fantastic game. Pilot Wing 64 is I remember the jetpack levels the most because I was the best at those. But such a good game.
I don't have anything to say about it.
Nothing about that. Let's talk Tempest X3.
Oh, right. So that came out this year.
I was a Jaguar fan when Tempest 2000 came out. And
Jaguar Stan.
Okay, Jaguar Stan. I love the Jaguar. I love the Atari Jaguar. And, of course, Tempest 2000, the best game for the Jaguar.
That I agree with.
And when that system kind of died, I was very happy to see Tempest live on.
Which
in
96 was the year they killed it.
96 was the year they killed the Jaguar. Yeah. And then I think Interplay brought out Tempest 2000 on Saturn and X3 on PlayStation. And they're a little bit different. The Saturn version was more of a port of the Jaguar game, and X3 was more of a sort of pseudo sequel that had some additions and some different graphics. But I love Tempest, still love Tempest to this day. And that was one of the games that I played the crap out of on the PlayStation.
Cool.
And then, of course, we got a Mario 64. I mean,
that's on my list
influential too. And I mean, it's just a great game. And I never actually owned a copy of Mario 64 until the Player's Choice series, because I played the game at the office. And then played it, for the book. It was Ziff's copy of it, and didn't need to buy it myself. Didn't feel like I needed to buy it myself. I actually didn't own an N64 until F-Zero X came out.
See, it's funny because really, was F-Zero X the game that made you decide to buy an N64?
No. Okay. Ocarina of Time made me buy an N64, right. But F-Zero X, I bought the N64 that had the purple controller and
atomic purple.
The atomic purple, and then F-Zero X came out before Ocarina of Time, but I wanted to have an N64 just for when Ocarina of Time came out.
That was 98.
That was later, yeah.
So Mario 64. Again, this guy that I was working for, he was the only one that I knew of in the city at the time who actually imported an N64 to rent. So you could go to his store and you could rent an N64 with Mario 64, and I think Wave Race was that? No,
Wave Race came out
N64 because he only had the launch games, and there was only Mario 64 and that. What kind of game was that?
Pilot Wings and Shogi.
Shogi, the Shogi game, right?
Yeah.
So I think we probably had Pilot Wings. I must have played Pilot Wings. I didn't care. I wanted to play Mario 64. So
Yeah.
anyway, so yes, at our store before the N64 came out, we had the import with Mario 64. So
Yeah.
that was one of the things that I would take home and play when it wasn't rented. I would take it back to my place, and I played through Mario 64. Somehow, even when it got rented, my save file didn't get deleted. So I played through it. By the time it was released in North America, I had already completed it. I don't think I ever got 120 stars, but I completed the game. Kind of like you, right? So I played the Japanese version of the game. The day the N64 came out, me and Mike was his name, a different Mike who worked there. We both bought N64s with Mario 64. But I remember it too because it was a snowstorm, because and
Canada.
Nowhere in Charlotte we didn't get our N64s for the store that day, and nowhere in Charlottetown had them. But we found it was probably a Sears or something that was on the other side of the island, which is about 2 hours away, maybe an hour and a half away. And we wanted them so badly that I basically gave Mike, I didn't give him the day off. We still paid him, but sent him during his shift across the island to buy 2 N64s and 2 copies of Mario 64 while I watched the store in Charlottetown. And then took my new N64 home that night and played through Mario 64 again. So yeah,
amazing.
I loved that game.
It is a great game.
Yeah.
Genre defining.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Unlike Bubsy 3D, which is not genre defining.
No, Mario took over the yarn ball for sure.
Sure did.
Was that 5?
Yeah, I talked about 5 games. Yes.
All right. Well, you had a couple on there that I had as well, but
okay. What do you got?
So I mean, I did throw in. I kind of tried to rank these, so I'll show you. So Dragon Force was my 5th. I will say though, the Saturn. I was a big Saturn fan. Still am. So that's what I was playing in '96 before the N64 came out, and even after the N64 came out. The Saturn was great in '96. Some really, really, really good games, and I was also importing games for it at the time. So one of the games that and sorry, I should say, me and my friends were big into fighting games during this time, because I mean the Saturn had great fighting games.
That's true.
The best versions of most of the Capcom 2D fighters, and obviously Sega's stuff. Lots of Virtua Fighter 2. I think Last Bronx came out this year. Fighting Vipers definitely came out this year. I think Fighters Megamix came out in Japan in '96 as well.
I think that's right.
So I would have had that in '96 because, like I said, we were importing everything. But from the Capcom side, Street Fighter Alpha 2 came out that year, which was great. But I was way more into Night Warriors. So I actually have that on my list. So Night Warriors, of course, Darkstalkers, which came out on the PlayStation. The original Darkstalkers never came out on the Saturn. Night Warriors was the follow-up to Darkstalkers. So 2D fighting, like Street Fighter game, but with monster characters.
Man, when is that series going to come back?
Oh man, that's a series that so desperately needs to return in some form. I think there's actually I think the first one or the second one was re-released somehow on one of the PlayStation services. But yeah, played a lot. Man, I played a lot of time. I spent a lot of time with Night Warriors. I loved that game so much. I still pick it up and play it every now and then. It just looked amazing. I just loved the fact that it was different. It played like Street Fighter, but it wasn't just Street Fighter again. So that was a big one for me. Another one that's on my list here, again, because all my friends were playing Saturn, was Guardian Heroes.
Ah, yes.
We adored Guardian Heroes because you could play it with, I think, up to 4 people or 5 people, however many people that multi-tap would support. So it was a kind of, we always looked at it as a spiritual follow-up to Gunstar Heroes. It really has nothing to do with Gunstar Heroes, but it was Treasure's Brawler on the Saturn that used the system really well. It used a lot of scaling. It was kind of like what was the SNK fighting game that was it Fatal Fury or World Heroes, where you could jump from plane to plane, and by that I mean like the foreplane
Oh,
and the background. That's how Guardian
mm,
Heroes worked as well. I think every level had like three planes, three tracks. So like with most brawlers, like you look at something like a Streets of Rage or Final Fight, where you can just kind of move in and out of the screen freely in most levels. With Guardian Heroes, you had to press a button to jump to the different levels in the background.
right.
So yeah, that was a little bit weird, but overall, it was just a really great brawler. It had some great, like, it had a bit of a fighting game move set in it. The different characters played really differently. Absolute chaos if you were playing it with like 3 or 4 people. I think it
I've
went as
never
high as
played that
4.
game.
You
Never.
missed out. Amazing music, amazing graphics. There were some tie-ins to Gunstar Heroes in the form of different characters. Like I think some form of the final boss in Gunstar Heroes is actually a character in Guardian Heroes as well. But just a masterpiece. We played that game so much. And it kind of, you know, folded in with the sort of fighting game craze that we were into as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I talked about this on the main show, and I would say that I actually put this game above Mario 64, not because it's necessarily a better game, but it's a game that I like. I just love, and I talked about it in the regular show, which was Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider came out in 1996.
It did.
The original Tomb Raider, which I was playing on the Saturn because it was the superior version. Just saying. But yeah,
Why was it the superior version?
It had better water effects.
Okay.
And I believe I think Lara had one more move. It was one of those stupid, like, I think it was the handstand when you pulled yourself up.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I don't even know why. I just played the Saturn version.
Superior version.
And less texture warping.
Stand.
There you go. Less texture warping. That's why.
No
anyway,
garage shading though.
Didn't need it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I remember like my memory of that game too, and I think it's one of the reasons why I have such fond memories of it. So at the end of that year, I'm pretty sure it was the end of that year. I hope I'm not mixing this up. The owner of Game World, where I worked, the store I was managing, his name was Masood. He was expanding, like I said, and he was actually expanding into the next province over, New Brunswick. And Masood was one of those guys. He was owner operator. He definitely looked at that, like those stores were his babies, right? Like he worked insane hours because that's how you did it. He was building a chain basically on his own. And so he had opened this store in a city called Moncton, I believe, New Brunswick, which was the next province over from Nova Scotia. And it's like just south of PEI. PEI is just north of Nova Scotia, New Brunswick. And anyway, he'd been working this store just to get it open, like carting stock up to the store. And it was still open and operating, and it was just him working there. And it was getting near Christmas. And so he had asked if I would come work that store for, I think, a week while he went home for a week just to see his family. And then I was going to head home to Halifax for Christmas, and he would come back up and run the store over Christmas. So I was like, sure, no problem. So I drove down to Moncton, and the store was just starting up. So there were no customers. I was literally there all day doing almost nothing except for setting the place up, right? Not really serving anyone. But Masood was also really cheap. So he put me up in the motel he'd been staying in. I just basically took over the room, and it was this dingy little shithole, like half an hour outside the city on the side of the highway, that had no cable. I don't think the room even had a phone.
Wow.
Yeah, it was this dingy little place.
Whoa.
But it had a television. It had a color television.
Did it have a coin-operated vibrating bed?
No, it did not. It wasn't. Well, I'm not saying it wasn't that kind of place, but it wasn't that fancy. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So I would go home, and I didn't know anybody in the area. So I would go back to the hotel at night after the store closed at like 9 p.m. And he'd warned me that there was no cable or anything. So I brought my Saturn with me. And I would happen to be playing through Tomb Raider at the time. So I would go back to the hotel at night and just sit and play Tomb Raider for hours. And
oh man,
I have such fond memories of it. Nowadays I would never ever do that, obviously. Like I'm past that point in my career, thank goodness. But I remember that week just playing tons of Tomb Raider and playing through it. I think I finished it there in that dingy little hotel and that tiny little color TV. Like I said, I don't think it had a phone. Wondering if I was going to live through the night.
Oh my God.
Playing Tomb Raider.
Did you have a cell phone?
I might have. I don't know, man. 96 is kind of early to have had a cell phone.
I know. Yeah.
Especially for a 20-year-old that didn't make a lot of money. So
I borrowed my parents' cell phone.
See, and cell phones here were really expensive. Phone. Like, they still are. But I mean, it was a landmark year. But I just like going through that list of games that you sent too, and looking at some of the other stuff that I loved in that year. Like, I will say too that I do want to call out Formula One from Bizarre Creations. Do you remember Bizarre Creations?
Actually, there was
a person from Bizarre Creations in vid games.
Yeah.
Sarah?
Yes, Sarah. She
was marketing or PR or something.
She was PR, for Bizarre Creations. I went on a junket, I think the Buck Bumble junket,
of course,
that I went to Argonaut. I ended up taking a train up to Liverpool and visiting her at Bizarre Creations.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
it was awesome.
I didn't buy a PlayStation when it first came out. I bought a Saturn because they were expensive, and I was working, but I didn't have tons of money. So I think the Saturn was like 500 Canadian or something like that.
Yeah, it was expensive.
They were expensive, and the PlayStation wasn't much better. I think it was 400. So there's no way I had $1,000 to spend on video game consoles in 1995. So anyway, I bought a Saturn, and I was all in on that, and I was happy with that. There was no no complaints. I wanted to play the stuff that was on PlayStation, but I was totally happy with my Saturn. We were importing games and stuff like that, and it was great. But Formula One, which was released by Psygnosis but developed by Bizarre Creations, that was the game that convinced me to buy a PlayStation. Because I was such a Formula One racing fan, and it looked so cool. Yeah, like it wasn't Resident Evil, it wasn't Twisted Metal, it wasn't Wipeout. It was Formula One. I still have that copy too.
Nice.
But that game came out in 96. So 96 is the year I bought a PlayStation as well.
Awesome. Wow.
And 3 Dirty Dwarves came out that year.
It
Nights
did.
into Dreams, Gun Griffin, Panzer Dragoon 2, Virtua Cop 2. Oh my God, the list is crazy.
Yeah, a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah.
And that E3 was crazy too. That was my first E3, and Mario 64 was there, and to just see that sort of land at an E3. And
so is that the first time we saw the controller? Was it that
E3? I don't know.
It was a Tokyo Game Show, I think.
No, I think we'd seen it before. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But the N64 wasn't coming out in Japan until like July, and then it came out here in October.
Yep.
And so I had gone to E3 with a friend of mine from high school. He came along, and you remember Aeon Flux?
Mm-hmm.
There was a video game for Aeon Flux.
I remember that.
And I forget who the artist is that worked on it, but he was there signing stuff.
Of course.
Anyway, my friend from high school ends up inviting him to dinner. I don't know why he did this. Yeah, inviting him he's like, "Where do you want to go? Like, what's your favorite restaurant or whatever?" And it's some sushi place. And my friend from high school and keep in mind, we were only like a year out of high school at this point. Like, called the sushi restaurant up for a reservation and also asked them how much the food was there because he wasn't sure if he could afford it. And it was going to be like multiple hundreds of dollars to eat at this place. And I remember my friend crying that he wasn't going to be able to do this, like, because he had met this artist that he really adored, idolized, and wanted to hang out with, and couldn't.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a little nuts. Yeah, and then we also snuck in to see Quake being demonstrated on a PC, like in the atrium.
Quake was that year too.
Above the LA Convention Center, there was like an atrium place where they were going to show it. And Quake was one of these games that before it came out, everybody was like, "Oh, Quake! It's the next Doom. It's going to be huge." Anyway, we basically like crashed this party that was going on, showing off Quake at E3 by just walking in the door, and John Romero was there setting it up, and it was just like a crazy sort of situation to be in. Just, yeah, that wouldn't have happened. That wouldn't happen nowadays, where you just kind of crash a party for an exclusive game.
Well, it couldn't happen now.
No. No E3. No E3 to crash.
Yep. I have a similar restaurant story, but I'll wait for whatever year we cover, whenever we cover that year. I think it was 1999.
I see. That'll be interesting. That'll be interesting. I can't wait to hear about that.
Ziff Davis.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, hey, that was an after show. It went a lot longer than I thought it was going to. But hey,
we have memories.
This was fun. Yeah, we're old. We have memories. It was a good trip down memory lane. Hopefully, you as Patreon backers enjoyed it. If you didn't, let us know or send us more after show quizzes. Or even if you enjoyed it, send us an after show quiz, because we can always use more of those. And I hope everyone out there in Radioland is safe and well. Hope your family, friends, loved ones are safe and well as well. And we'll talk at you again next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.